Vilhauer here, your sort of host. As you can hear, my voice is still not fully recovered. So my amazing colleagues, Likky and Ray Edwards, they are going to help me co-host today. And we have retired Navy fighter pilot John Ramstead also coming in about 15 minutes to help really lead the discussion for me. I have my post-it notes ready so that I can be commenting. Yeah, I love you guys. Because I'm trying to protect my voice. I'm going to be feeding questions to Ray and Likky, and perhaps John can chime in, answer a few things as well. We would really love to hear from you. There is massive star power, experience, value, wisdom, and leadership here today on the panel. So in the comments below, ask what questions do you want me to feed over to Ray and Likky and to John when he comes in. I'm going to protect my voice. And guys, this is meant to be just a really open, honest conversation about how people can move forward mentally and professionally through this time. Anything that's tactical, tangible, that they can take action with and anchor to. People love like morning routine changes, or this is how I had a conversation with a client or a team member, and this was the result, or here's what I'm innovating. We are innovating every single day right now. And I'm so frustrated I don't have a voice because I can't wait to get mine out, but you're going to have to come back next week on the NGNG page to hear all of my recent wisdom. But for now, I want to hand it over to Likky and to Ray. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit more about your background for those who are new to you. Maybe one of you can introduce me for me, and then we'll take it from there. Appreciate you guys.
Give me a high five there, Amber. You're awesome. Go ahead, Ed.
Virtual high five.
Exactly. Exactly. Hey, I'll take the honor. I mean, Amber, you're an incredible person. I mean, what you've been doing for the last couple of weeks, it's been just giving back and shifting the way people think. Now, your background as an author, helping authors get out to the marketplace, designing websites, and even doing this right now, the Elevate series has really impacted people's lives. This is the second time I get a chance to be on here this week, and I'm thrilled. So thank you. Thank you for everything you do for us, the community as well.
Thanks, man.
And Ray, please introduce yourself. Then I'll introduce myself.
All right, I'll do it. First, I want to echo the things you said about Amber. She is one of the best humans I know. She has worked with us on different projects over the years, and we're working together now. And I mean, there are few people that have the integrity, the energy, the spirit of helpfulness and service. I just don't know very many people like Amber, and I really appreciate her and all the work she does and her friendship. It was an honor when she asked me to be part of this. I was kind of blown away. I'm a copywriter, marketing strategist, communication strategist. I have a podcast that does pretty well on the, what is it called now? The Apple Podcast app. I keep wanting to call it iTunes, which makes me sound old, but I am there. And so I've had the great privilege of working with people on their messaging and their marketing and communicating the message they want to communicate to their audience so people will buy their products and services over. And now is a great time to be focused on communications and your message, because now more than ever, if you are online, if you're in social media, obviously you are, or you wouldn't be here. You've got to communicate messages that not only help you, but especially help other people learn how to navigate times. So I'm excited to be part of this discussion because it's all of one piece now. And I think we're at a moment of great opportunity in society and in the world. And I'm excited about where we're headed.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Ray. I appreciate that. And, those words about Amber, no matter who you talk to, they say the exact same thing. So Amber, it's an incredible community you built. So thank you for who you are. My background is sales, training, and business strategist. And last year at the same session that I was with Amber, where I got a chance to meet with her, my conversation and thinking transformed. was not around being a sales trainer. It was not around being a business strategist. It was around really finding out what was in people's ways to become the best salesperson, to become the best business person. So I call myself the blind spot navigator or BS navigator. You can read whatever you want in that BS, but there is a lot of BS in our ways to get out of our ways to become who we really want to become. So I love helping companies and organizations do that. Ray, you're smiling and laughing there. I love that. Now, this is a pivoting point for all of us. We've been at this level for such a long time, and all of a sudden we went bang. Now we got this runway. We don't know if it's going to be this big or that big, but we do know it's going to come back up this way. What are we doing now to prepare ourselves to make this, however long it's going to be, to make our days incredible, to get up there? Type A personality. I'm out there driven all the time. This week, actually the last 2 weeks, I've shifted. An extrovert that I am, I'm having Zoom meetings and I'm missing that physical interaction, but I've had to shift. But to do that, meditation, I've taken a meditation. I've taken a gratitude list in the morning just to reset my mind every morning. Ray, what have you changed? What have you worked on?
I'm not an extrovert. I'm an introvert with extroverted qualities when required. I love people. People hear me say I'm an introvert and they think that I don't like people. I love people. It's just a matter of energy. And I feel like because of being an introvert, I tend to also have a deep empathy. And so when I'm with a lot of people or with a few people, I'm very intensely focused on them and it drains me. So this has been a time for me to sort of lean into my natural tendencies. And I've found myself slowing down more and spending more time focused on a few people that I can help deeply. So that's been helpful because what we've done is we've turned our focus more toward away from the frenetic travel and all the things I was doing before and more toward our existing clients and especially on my team. Something I've learned, I may not even be answering your question now because I'm just thinking about what's really changed. Something I've learned is I'm not just leading my listeners and my viewers and my customers. I'm leading my team, obviously, but I've really gotten deep into what's happening in their lives. Like we have a weekly team meeting. We have it often now than weekly, but we have a weekly team meeting where we normally share some good news and then we go into business. And this week I felt led to do something different. So I told them, we're not going to talk about business today. I want to talk about you. I want you to share with me. What are you feeling? What is happening in your life right now? How are you? Thank you, Amber. How are you dealing with what's happening? I really want to know. I don't want you to put a shine on it and tell me how great you're doing. I want to know what's really happening in your life. And it was the most amazing thing because as people began to open up, I felt like we had gone to church. We were just sharing with one another. We were being open and there were tears. We prayed for each other. We spent time working on solutions to challenges people had. And I realized, why have I not been doing this till now? Because these are the same people. I just opened my heart to them. And it was really a transformative experience. And so what I'm hoping is that we can all, as we go through this, and I hear stories like this more and more, I'm hoping that this is like some have called it the Great Reset, that this becomes the Great Reset. And we carry these pieces of wisdom, like you're taking up meditation and Amber protecting her voice and me paying more attention to what's happening in my team and opening my heart to them and vice versa. We have an opportunity to literally see the world changed. I've heard people talk about, some of the clients and colleagues that I work with talk about wanting to lift the consciousness of the planet. Well, guess what just happened? That's what just happened. The consciousness of the planet has been lifted. Let's all work toward keeping it at that level. That's what I'm working on and hoping to see continue as we go forward.
Yeah,
That
that's
was a
incredible.
mic
That's
drop
incredible, Ray.
moment.
Ray,
That was awesome.
that's incredible. I mean, that vulnerability you just showed there, that is where leaders shine.
Mm.
You know, leaders right now, the good leaders, they're getting by. The bad leaders are having a real hard time because they're not being vulnerable. I'll tell you, one of the things that I've taken on this last 2 weeks is I have a leaders roundtable. I do a daily check-in with my leaders in the morning, 10 minutes, but it's about what am I dealing with? What did I have a hard time sleeping on? And what do I need from you? And then ask them, what do you need today? Forget about business. Forget about any of that stuff. What do you need? And at the end of the day, I'm sending an email to every single leader of mine with a video saying, hey man, I struggled with this today. I didn't know how to get out of this. I struggled, I had a hard time. Now I invite you to ask your team the exact same thing. What are you struggling? Do you need money? Do you have food on the table? What's happening to your parents? And really get connected to them, because this is when that's going to make a difference. Now, we always say people first. This is the moment to make it people first. And us being vulnerable as leaders is going to allow our teams to be vulnerable and really share what's in their ways, because that's what builds that strong team. So thanks, Ray, for setting the tone for this conversation. Boy, Amber, I mean, talk about vulnerability. You know, the sessions we did last year, I would leave those sessions and I would thank them and say, thanks for this therapy session. And the therapy session was just about being vulnerable. So tell me, Ray, what are you doing now moving forward? What shift are you recommending to people to take on to take that runway? What do you think is going to happen? What do you want to do about that?
Thank you for asking me that, because this is where I get excited. I know we're all dealing with some difficult things right now, and we're moving together to help one another with those things. And that is awesome. And I want to continue doing that. I don't want to downplay that, but I'm also looking at the future thinking there's opportunity in front of us now. And the more we can lean into the opportunity, the more we can help make the turnaround happen faster. And that makes life better for everybody. And opportunities for business people at this extraordinary moment, I'm urging all my clients, my listeners, people who follow my work, to start going through their websites, going through their YouTube channels, going through their podcasts, and look for things that are off key for right now. Because people come to your website or your YouTube channel, they're watching videos. They may not realize you made this a year ago, and you may be saying things in that video that you really don't want to push out to the public right now, not because it was wrong, but because it's tone deaf. Yeah. And so I'm urging people to examine their communications and start with your website, with your about page, with your home page, with your sales pages, with the emails, especially, and I'm just going to leave it at this, be careful about automated sequences that you've forgotten about, because guaranteed the exact wrong thing could come out today, and you may be slapping yourself in the forehead saying, oh, I wish I had checked that. So go check up on all your communications, especially your automated communication sequences that you haven't looked at in a while, to make sure they're saying what you want to be saying right now. That's the big step I'm urging everybody to take at this moment. Yeah. Looks like we have a new guest.
And on top of that, Ray, automatic invoicing. People are invoicing on the 15th or 1st of the month. Be careful of those right now, especially the ones that haven't paid. The collection automatic emails, be cognizant of those, because most of these organizations are closed. They don't want to see an email saying you haven't paid your bill in 30 days.
Oh, absolutely. That's such a good point. We've actually started looking ahead at those things. And if it's an individual that we know, we're calling them instead and say, hey, this is not a collections call. We're calling to see, are you okay? How are things going? And if they end up paying their invoice, then great. But here's a big revelation. If people aren't paying their invoice, it's not because they don't want to.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And Ray, you bring up such a great point. My son he was looking at an email that was about to go out automatically and said, Dad, I think this is off key right now. So we had to go in and rewrite it. But here's what I'd love for you to share. So many people out there, we're all communicating, right? And you know more than anybody how much words matter, right? What advice would you share right now on kind of you know, the language to use, the words to use, the tone to strike, that would really, I think people really, because this is a time to be in service of others, to, I think, to build relationships, to help people get through a very challenging time. This is definitely a profound shift from, I think, anything that most of us have experienced.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. Yes. So this is my passion. This is what I'm focused on right now, is helping people with this issue. And I think the first thing to recognize is everybody, we're all talking about the same thing. So my recommendation right now is, you don't need to go, if you haven't, especially if you haven't looked at your messaging until this moment, you've been so caught up in what's been happening. Now's not the time to be heavy-handed and say all the things that everybody else is saying. Recognize the mindset that everybody is in. And I think the emotional place that everybody is in right now is even more important, especially your customers, your clients, your readers. Focus on what emotions are they feeling right now. And I'll tell you what some of the common emotions are right now. Fatigue. Mental and emotional fatigue. For some people, it's despair. And I think a lot of people are still in panic and fear, but I don't think that's the crest of the wave right now. I think it's the things I just mentioned: fatigue and emotional fatigue, a feeling of frozenness, not knowing, what do I do now? I don't know where to go. I don't know. So I would talk about those things in a hopeful way of speaking. So you want to convey to people, I would be saying things like this: I know these times are chaotic and it's difficult, and we're all working through that together, and we're here to serve you in whatever way we can. And talk about the things that you can offer that can help make people's lives easier. And talk about, if you're still selling, because we're still selling products and services online, because we're fortunate to be in a business where we can do that. And we're not being shy about making our offers, but we're also not being obnoxious. And you have to take the emotional temperature of the room. And the emotional temperature of the room right now is, I think, for most people that we serve with the audiences that we're working with, is hopeful optimism, tinged with maybe a little bit of still the fear creeps in. So giving people good news, things to be hopeful about, ways that they can be of service, and being cautiously optimistic. And most importantly, examining your language very closely and putting yourself in the position of the person who, for instance, had to close their business and they don't have any revenue coming in right now, and they're wondering how they're going to make their payroll. So before you send out that email or you publish that blog post, think about those people. And there are certain things that you might normally say that you won't be saying. And then anything you can do to be of service to your sector or your part of the market, or the kinds of people, your ideal clients that you work with, you know what their challenges are, what their problems are right now. Go be proactive and find solutions to those problems, those challenges, and write about that in your social media posts, and you put it in your YouTube videos, do it in your live streams, and anything you can do to go above and beyond. Like we're doing a live stream every day at 5 a.m. Pacific called Live at 5, where we're just talking about the most current things people can do to change their messaging, to move forward in their business. And we're calling our clients. We're calling them and just asking how they are. Can we help them in some way? And we meet a little bit of suspicion. People are like, well, are you trying to sell me something? I'm like, no, this is not about that. This is about, can we help you? What do you need right now? So I often end up connecting them with other vendors, other people that can help them if they're looking for resources. Like this is kind of amusing, but then again, it's super touching. I talked with somebody who was out of toilet paper. So we found them some toilet paper and shipped it to them. So these are human things we can do and communicate, in ways we can speak to people and serve them in ways that, I promise you, if you're just looking for what's the ROI on that, the ROI is they're not going to forget who helped them when they needed it.
No, well, especially, Ray, if it was double ply and not single ply. I'm just saying.
Nothing but ply.
Welcome, John. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Well, hey, and Ray, Live at 5, how would people find out where that is and connect to that? That sounds awesome.
You can find it on my Facebook page, on my YouTube channel, on my Instagram. I'm Ray Edwards on all the socials, and we're on all the networks except LinkedIn, which hasn't approved me for live video yet. I keep trying to figure out how to talk them into doing that, but I keep getting an autoresponder.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You know, you are so spot on, right? It's interesting too. I hadn't thought of that either because, fatigue and despair, I think, are really capture the emotions. Cause I was trying to kind of put my finger on what it is. It's not fear as much anymore. Cause like, I'm not afraid personally of the virus. I have friends who've gotten it, who are actually getting through it. But I'm looking at the economy. I'm looking at my own business model. I'm looking at what's happened with my own clients. And it's this crazy place of ambiguity, of uncertainty, which is really hard for us, but it creates a lot of opportunities too. And, Likky, you have such amazing depth of experience. I know you talk a lot about blind spots. What are you seeing from people who you're working with? Like maybe some of those blind spots we need to be aware of that might be maybe holding us back from moving through this time that we're in right now well.
Thanks, John. As we all know, last week was a bit of a shock. Everybody was in shock last week. And I call this week as the awe. And people are starting to really realize, okay, what was really happening is real. This is what's happening. This is what people are dealing with. We had clients that were saying, we're not ready to do anything. We don't have the money. Well, we get that. Nobody has the funds or the revenue right now. We're all not sure. And that fear part came into a lot of people, that despair part came in. But what I also realize is that people still need to go ahead and get business happening. So what we did with one of our clients, we had a conversation last week, and last Thursday was a presentation date for us. As soon as I got on the phone and she goes to me, she goes, Likky, I hate to tell you, but our contracts are all stopped. We can't have any more contractors. I go, that's fine, but we still need to help your team. And I get that. So I said, let's go ahead and do it. We'll just do the work that we need to. And she goes, we're a large organization. Nobody gives us anything. I said, well, that's an issue right now. We need to start giving to people, because the people that they're going to remember are the people that helped them through this whole process. It's going to be people like ourselves. Learn to receive. That blind spot you're talking about, John, is learning to receive. And Amber, I know you and I have the same problem. We cannot receive. And I'm learning to take it all in now, and whether it's good or bad or the help. One of the biggest things I'm telling people right now, John, there's a lot of money coming in from the governments for employees and companies and organizations, right? But I'm telling all of my leaders, take care of your own house first. Look inside your own mortgages at home, your own grants that you need, whatever you need for yourself. Even if you don't need it, get in line for it, because if you do need it, it's there. Because if you can take care of yourself, then you can take care of your employees and your teams properly. But because what if it's too late, then it's too late for everybody. So learn to receive that as well. So John, the biggest blind spot right now is just bring it in, take what's coming at your way, and make the most of that conversation, make the most of that feeling that you're coming through.
Yeah, that's such great advice, right? Let other people help you. A lot of us, especially, I think, I know the whole world of being a coach, a consultant, a trainer, right? Our whole focus is always, how do we help other people work with folks? And sometimes, like, somebody called me yesterday and said, hey, what can I do to help you? And it was a weird conversation talking about kind of what I needed, to be honest with you. And she would not let me change the subject. And I was at the end, I was so thankful that she did that. But that's a gift that we can do for other people, Ray. That's what you were just talking about, reaching out to people. And Ray, also, by the way, congratulations. I listened to your podcast episode on your anniversary. Ray just celebrated 35 years of marriage. How awesome is that?
Wow. Thank you.
Awesome.
It was a powerful episode. And, you talked in there about some really personal things that you've gone through yourself, your faith, and some real highs and lows. And, this is another time we're moving through, but I think there's something we could really learn from that. Because what I always get from you, Ray, as I've observed you, we've had a couple of conversations at different conferences. And I love how you approach everything, but it's from this heart of service and a place of gratitude. And I would love for you to just share how other people can start developing that maybe that's not maybe their first reaction to different situations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you for the kind words you just said. I really appreciate it. For me, the practice of gratitude is something that did not come naturally to me. My natural inclination was something very different. I was very self-focused and not grateful for a lot of things. But I really, when I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and I began to start dealing with that back in 2011, it changed everything for me, because my first reaction was, this has wrecked my life. And then I realized I had a choice to make. Either it's going to wreck my life or it's going to reconstruct my life. So I began to think about the things I could be thankful for, and what I've discovered along the way. And I'm still working on this. I'm by no means, I'm not the master of this, but I've learned that whenever I start getting into a feeling of despair or fear or anger or bitterness or unforgiveness, because I do deal with all those things. They come up. If I'll tell them, step back and think what I have to be grateful for. And this, if there's anything given us all, it's a list of things to be grateful for. The people that we love, the things that we privileged to have. Like I've been watching what's happening around the world, and I've learned to be a lot more grateful for things like clean running water and a home to live in, a roof over my head. And I know that we all feel restricted because we're forced to stay home, but we have a home to stay in, and we have an infrastructure where, as imperfect as the system may be, it's working on our behalf, and it's working overall. And so I'm grateful for those things. I'm grateful for the small things. I'm grateful for my real small things, my pugs, my dogs. And the thing I've become most aware of is the value of slowing down and being in the moment. There's a line, I'm going to out myself as a Star Wars geek now. In the actual second movie, not the renumbered version that George Lucas made up, but in the actual second movie, Yoda says about Luke, he says, always his mind on the future, this one, never his mind on where he is, on what he's doing. And the most valuable practice I've been working on lately is being where I am and doing what I'm doing while I'm doing it, and not doing what I'm not doing when I'm not doing it. Because I'm pretty good at always thinking about the next thing or the next place or the next level. And it's really valuable to think about where we are right now and just being grateful for that. And I do the gratitude journal thing. I have a meditation practice that I engage in each morning, where the biggest part of that is thinking about things that I'm grateful for and really putting myself in that place of gratitude. And I just find that when you can really get there and you can really feel the gratitude and the thankfulness, the other things can't exist. The anger, the bitterness, the fear, if you have a grateful heart, you're really feeling that appreciation, those other things just go away. And that's a great state from which to approach the things we're all facing right now.
That's awesome. And Likky, I see you, as Ray was talking, you're sitting there nodding, and Amber is flashing her since she's been muted by the world, unfortunately. But you're sitting there nodding, Likky, and I'd love for you to share your thoughts on that. And Ray, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, Ray, this really hits home. I'll tell you, type A personality, always on the go. Last year, there was a period of 3 months where I spent 11 nights in my own bed. I was just traveling so much. This has forced that shutdown of family time, that calmness, the time to reflect to what's really important. 11 years ago, my wife was hit with cancer, and we thought that was our wake-up call. But we went through that whole thing, and she's survived. She's in great health, but life went back to normal. But this has stopped everybody. And, for me, the biggest thing has been, I've been doing this gratitude journal for about a year now, doing the 5 a.m. club with Robin Sharma's process. and waking up and creating that 5 a.m. club journal, one of the biggest things was I love my coffee. You know, I love coffee. And I sat down one day and I figured out to get that cup of coffee, it takes about 2,000 people for me to have that sip. The growers, the farmers, the supply chain, the marketers, the pod makers, it's a lot of people. That cup of coffee tastes so good now because it took that exercise to look through it. The meditation part that I've just started, you know, I know a lot of type A personalities who are just worried about business, worried about fear. Just by me doing it for 2 days has grounded me to realize that this is what it's about. The breathing, my shoulders have dropped. I've gained 6 inches. And it's just from that simple breathing and simple meditation. So those leaders that are out there just going at it right now, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and take time for yourselves, because this is what's going to matter. Because when we come out of this, your strength is going to help everybody else carry you. You're going to carry everybody else out of this. But right now, you need that recharge. And this is the time to do it.
You know, when you said coffee, I was thinking a friend of mine, you can see this thing on the wall. This is from Rwanda. Some friends of mine from Rwanda who I've been helping sent that to me. The Rwandan Trading Company, there's 500 employees, and they bring in coffee from 100,000 coffee farmers. If you actually think of all the work that went into the little bit of coffee that's in your K-cup, all the way through this chain down to people who are doing all their agriculture by hand. You think of 20 acres of land that's completely tilled with a metal scythe or whatever that tool is, right? And here we are, we just get to put it in and enjoy it. There's so much. It's a great exercise, you know, just something practical to do. Like, we're sitting here, our entire family's under my roof, my 3 boys, my future daughter-in-law, my grandson. Every night we're cooking meals together. Last night we played a Small World. It's a kind of a complex board game for hours. And we're sitting there laughing and we're talking about things. And you know what? There's this huge blessing that's coming out of this for me. I believe that our family is reconnecting in a way and creating such strength and such deep relationships. We're going to look back actually on this period of time in 2020 that laid the foundation for the relationships that we are going to have the rest of our lives. It's like, this is what I'd always, as a father and husband, hoped to have, and we worked really hard for, but like, this actually created the environment where it actually all came together. And I am profoundly grateful that even given everything external, this is an outcome that we've had. Even though business, I have no idea what's going to happen with business, but pales in comparison what's happening with our family. So such a great reminder, and something we can even do. You can talk about, go around the table, and don't let anybody repeat it though, because my 16-year-old always just repeats what the other, if you're listening, Matthew, sorry, what somebody else said, right? So you go around the table and just, hey, what are you grateful for? And it's also a great time to go around the table and just affirm people. Hey, thank you for what you did here, or I appreciate this, or you know what, just thank you for just jumping in and cleaning the kitchen. Or, you know, like Amber, you know, Casey, right? Like, thank you so much for just working on this project and bringing it to me and saying, hey, this is something I think we should send out to all of our customers. She just did that completely on her own. So just great stuff. Hey, a question for both of you too. I think there's a lot of people. I was just doing a roundtable with about 100 CEOs earlier this morning. And so I was a little bit late. And I asked a question. And it was interesting, the resounding silence I heard. I said, when you guys have a real problem that you need to solve, or a question that needs to be answered, how many of you, it's your first instinct to reach out and go get help? And it was just quiet. Because like you said, Likky, right? We're used to kind of, doing things or having things internally. And I think I would love for you guys to maybe share your insights right now, as we have big decisions to make around our family, our health, our business. What is an approach that's going to be a lot more effective? because we need to be reaching out. We need to be curious. We need to be humble. We need to be learning. But I do think to make the best decision with imperfect data, which we have right now because it's so fluid, it is a little bit different than before. So maybe
I'd just like to say all my data is perfect. I have decided what the truth is, and everyone agrees with me. This is flawless. No one has ever handled anything as well as I'm handling it right now.
I was hoping you would bring him out.
Love it.
But you know, Ray, if you're gonna do voice acting, you gotta do the Yoda. There's only do or not do. There is no try.
Yoda, everything he knows from talking to me.
So Amber just put a note on, and it said he internalizes, makes an action plan, and acts quickly, but then asks for help along the way for execution. So well done. So well done.
That's a good answer.
John, that comment you just made, I call it CEO disease. And what I mean by that is that as CEOs, as owners of companies, we're in this little island of ourselves. And we feel that we have to take on that weight of everybody else. And we do, I get that. But we also need to reach out to our peers and our groups and our people that really care about us, because people do care about us and people do want to help you. I am number one to ask for help. I never used to be like that. I used to be very internalizing, and that created stress, created my stomach issues, created anxiety. But the first thing I've done now is, I'm having a problem, I reach out to my peers. I reach out to my group. I reach out to whoever's available to talk to. That's made a big difference. And that's what we're creating for our leaders as well. Every day we do a leadership call, and that leadership call is an open forum nobody's going to judge. There's no judging. We're just here to help, because we're afraid of that judgment, right? We should know it all. We're leaders. We're supposed to know everything possible. Yeah, not possible.
Yeah. And I think that's the wrong definition of leadership, right?
Well, exactly.
As a leader, I believe it is our job to cast vision so people understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. It's our job to serve. And when I say serve and servant leadership, it's our job to help other people succeed, right? And then we have to do a couple things. We have to teach them. We have to make sure they have the knowledge that they need, train them that they have the experience to use that knowledge and the tools to do their job. And once I've done those three things, then I can start delegating, creating stretch experiences to people to get them to a level where they are empowered and they can go do it and succeed and fail on their own. And if I look at leadership from that perspective, nothing in there says I need to have the answer, because we have amazing people that are on our team, even the most junior person that creates this brain trust. And it's our job to be able to tap into that, especially if we're in that CEO position. I think it's even more important.
Totally agreed. There's a note on my screen here. Oh yes, we should have you, if you're watching on Facebook, you should start a watch party if you could. That would help, so we could get this information and hopefully these helpful thoughts out to other people and benefit as many people as possible. Just go on and click the little button that says start watch party. Let your friends know that this conversation is taking place so that they can listen and benefit, hopefully, when the other guys are speaking, at least. I have a saying. I hope it doesn't offend anybody. It probably will. I am a CEO of my company, so I can say this. Sometimes I think CEO stands for cranium embedded in orifice. So you can figure out the picture there. You may have your head up somewhere so often. And I was always the guy who thought he had to have all the answers, had to be the smartest guy in the room. And one of the biggest personal breakthroughs for me was to learn that was not the truth. I needed to ask for help. And I have a very close-knit mastermind group. And don't worry, I'm not about to pitch a mastermind group. This is a mastermind group that is made up of peers that we work together to help one another. And there's only 6 of us. And I went to these guys as this whole thing started to unfold, and I had some big problems develop all of a sudden. And the key is for me is to go quickly to ask for the help and be open and honest about what's happening. Don't try to cover up. Don't try to do the CEO thing where you put the spin on it. where your problem becomes a humble brag. I went to them and said, guys, I've got a problem I need to solve. And I laid it out for them, and they just poured out so much wisdom into me that I had multiple solutions and reinforcement and reassurance. And I think all of us, it's in our best interest if we have a group of people, a small group of carefully vetted, trusted people that you trust to speak into your life and into your heart so that you can make good decisions. And now I'm going to out myself as a Star Trek geek. One of the leadership models I love the best is, if you ever watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, I was always fascinated by the fact that Captain Picard, who was this great leader, would have this meeting in his ready room, and he would have the input from all of his key officers about what they should do about the situation. And then he would make a decision, which sometimes was in direct contradiction to the advice that he got, but he collected the best advice he could get. And then he did what a leader has to do. He made the decision he felt was in the best interest of his crew. And I feel like that's something we could all learn from, whether you like Star Trek or not. If you don't like Star Trek, you're wrong, but otherwise you can learn from that.
Well, and my favorite thing, Ray, is he just turn around over his shoulder and say, Earl Grey, hot. And it appeared.
I know.
I want one of those. But that, sorry, that's where my head went. All right, Likky, I think we only got a few minutes left here. So before we wrap up, let me just say a couple of things. First of all, thank you guys for sharing this. Amber's entire heart was like, how do we elevate people's thinking, their relationships, their conversations, their ability to move through this what's happening in the world, and stay sane, and actually come out on the other side better. Amber, thank you for what you've done and put this together. You've had, I think, 35 different speakers on. Thank you for letting me host this. There's been people sign up to be an ambassador, to host this and be part of this and kind of create their own thing as part of this, as almost a movement. Like, how do we elevate and move through this together? So, tie in, share this. And also there's going to be a link. It's in the Facebook group. I believe we are asking for people to donate for some charities that have been vetted, that are taking the funds, are going directly to relief for people, first responders, healthcare, people who are sick, the most sick, right, that really need some help, right? I know that times are tight for all of us, but guess what? Everybody has an extra $10, $20, or $100. Let's just be real, okay? So with that, thank you, Ray. Likky, just how about for this? We got about 2 minutes left. How about just like on the news channels, each get a minute for just like your final thoughts to just launch people. Let's start with you, Likky, and then Ray will have you launch us into, what do they call that when they go into hyperdrive and Star Trek? Come on, I'm kind of a geek.
Warp
speed. Yes, you can launch us into warp speed. But go ahead, Likky.
Awesome. We've been talking a lot about leadership and vulnerability, and I want you to look at yourselves right now. Whoever you are, we're all leaders at this time. Every single person listening to this, watching this, the organizations, the frontline staff, we're all leaders. We're going to be the ones to get us out of this. So it's up to us to be vulnerable. Trust this process. This has been given to us. This has been given to us. Let's take it and do something with it. Let's become the best people we can, be the leaders that we're born to be, and help everybody else around us. But to do that, we need to be vulnerable and ask for the help that we need. And people are out there to help us. That's all I got, John.
Awesome. Captain Edwards, take us out.
I would just encourage everybody, when you think about being a leader, it is about service. That's been mentioned several times. So I would suggest that we serve with the heart of a leader and we lead with the heart of a servant. And that's going to be the answer to many difficulties.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Make it so.
Make it so. Thank you, gentlemen. With that, I think, unfortunately, the segment is over. Amber, thank you for the opportunity. This has been great, and time went by too fast. So we will make it so.
And I just want to add, okay, that we do have 2 more panels this afternoon. We have Dr. Ann Shippey and Dr. Lisa Coach coming on soon. And that's the whole medical perspective to what's happening, how you can protect yourself, how you can stay physically, mentally, emotionally strong. So you don't want to miss that panel this afternoon. The time and details are on the NGNG Enterprises Facebook page. And immediately following that, we're transitioning into another stream where we are going to have Susie Carter, who is a phenomenal business profit coach. Hal Runkle is going to be helping me co-host because I'm still trying to protect my voice. So please come back and show your support. We are finishing with a bang today. And I freaking love you guys. And so thank you for being here. It was awesome.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having us,
Amber.
Amber.
Thank you, Amber.